Please subscribe to this channel and support us so that we can post new videos every day. In the depths of space, where stars burn like scattered diamonds against the cosmic void, the Galactic Academy orbited a dying sun. Within its crystalline walls, students from 100 worlds gathered to learn the secrets of the universe. The year was 4387, and young minds from every corner of the galaxy studied together in harmony, or so it seemed. Professor Zareth, a being of pure energy contained within a shimmering humanoid form, stood before his advanced xenobiology class. His voice resonated through the chamber like distant thunder. Today, we explore the apex predators of your respective worlds. Each of you will present the most fearsome creature from your homeworld, the beast that sits atop your planet's food chain. The classroom buzzed with anticipation. Alien students from 20 different species exchanged knowing glances, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, hums, and telepathic whispers. All except one. Chen, the lone human in the class, sat quietly in the back row, her small transport crate resting at her feet. The presentations began with spectacular displays of terror. Zixtera, a crystalline being from the ice world of Keth, unveiled her contribution first. The creature that emerged from her containment field was a nightmare of evolution, Frost Ripper, standing 7 feet tall with skin like black ice and 6 eyes that burned with predatory intelligence. Its maw dripped with acidic saliva that hissed and steamed as it hit the floor, and razor-sharp claws extended from appendages that could rotate in impossible directions. Next came Gorthanel, whose massive form dwarfed even the professor. The rock-like student from the high-gravity world of Tremor activated his specimen container, revealing a creature that seemed to bend light around itself. The Shadow Stalker flickered in and out of visibility, its form constantly shifting between dimensions. When it moved, reality seemed to tear at the edges, and its prey never saw death coming until claws materialized from nothing to deliver the killing blow. The third presentation came from Veltara, whose insectoid form chittered with pride as she released her world's apex predator. The Echo Terror unfurled wings that spanned 12 feet, its body a grotesque fusion of bat and spider. It emitted ultrasonic shrieks that could liquefy bone and track prey across continents. Its hunting cry filled the chamber, and even the other predators cowered at the sound. One by one, each student presented creatures of unimaginable horror. Beasts with tentacles that could crush starship hulls, parasites that consumed memories while keeping their hosts alive, and hunters that could smell fear across star systems. The classroom became a menagerie of nightmares, and Professor Zareth nodded approvingly at each display. Finally, all eyes turned to Kira. She stood slowly, her movements deliberate and calm despite the chaos around her. The other students fell silent, curious to see what humanity, a species known throughout the galaxy for their inexplicable rise from a backwater planet, would contribute to this collection of monsters. Human student Chen, Professor Zareth intoned, his energy form pulsing with interest. Present your species' apex predator. Kira lifted her crate with gentle hands and placed it on the presentation platform. The container was small, barely the size of a briefcase, and made no sound. The alien students leaned forward, expecting perhaps a microscopic terror or a dormant killing machine waiting to be awakened. With steady fingers, Kira opened the latch. The crate's lid lifted with a soft click, and from within came a sound that no one in the chamber had expected: a tiny, squeaking yawn. A small gray head peeked over the edge of the container, followed by 2 bright blue eyes that blinked sleepily at the lights. The wolf cub, that's clearly what it was, couldn't have been more than 8 weeks old. Its fur was soft and downy, its ears too large for its head, and when it yawned again, it revealed teeth no bigger than rice grains. The silence stretched for 3 full seconds before Zixtera's crystalline form began to vibrate with what could only be described as laughter. "This is your joke, yes? Where is the real predator?" Gorthanel's boulder-like face cracked into what passed for a grin among his species. Perhaps the human is confused about the assignment. Even Professor Zareth's energy form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Student Kira, I believe there has been a misunderstanding. This creature is clearly an infant and shows no signs of predatory evolution. Please present your actual specimen." The cub, meanwhile, had managed to climb out of its crate and was now sitting on the platform, tail wagging as it looked around the room with innocent curiosity. When it spotted Kira, it let out a tiny howl that sounded more like a squeak and began padding toward her on unsteady legs. Kira scooped up the cub and cradled it against her chest. The gesture was so natural, so protective, that it gave some of the more observant students pause. "This is my predator," she said simply. "His name is Fenrir." "But it's just a baby," Veltara chittered, her compound eyes focusing on the small creature. "Where are its weapons, its natural armor, its killing instincts?" Kira's expression remained calm as she stroked the cub's fur. "Do you know the history of the wolf? 40,000 years ago, on a world you probably consider primitive, my ancestors were struggling to survive an ice age. They were not the strongest species on Earth, nor the fastest, nor the most naturally armed. but they possessed something unique, the ability to recognize potential allies. She held Fenrir up so the class could see him clearly. The ancestors of this little one were apex predators, canis lupus creatures that could hunt in coordinated packs, bring down prey 10 times their size, and survive in conditions that would kill most life forms. They were perfect killing machines, evolved over millions of years to be efficient predators. The cub licked Kira's nose, causing several alien students to recoil at the apparent display of the creature preparing to feed on its handler. But humans did something unprecedented in galactic history. Kira continued, "We looked at these perfect predators and saw not enemies to be destroyed or obstacles to overcome. We saw partners, companions, family." A holographic display materialized above the presentation platform, showing images from Earth's history. Cave paintings depicted humans and wolves hunting together. Ancient settlements showed dogs guarding human children. Modern scenes displayed the thousands of breeds that had emerged from the human-wolf partnership. Over millennia, we shaped each other. They became smaller, more docile, more attuned to our emotions and needs. But we changed. We learned their pack mentalities, their hunting strategies, their loyalty unto death. The wolves didn't just become our dogs, we became their humans. Gorthanal shifted uncomfortably on his rocky pedestal. Domestication is not predation. Humans who have made pets of hunters. Have we? Kira asked, and there was something in her voice that made the temperature in the room seem to drop several degrees. Veltara, your Echoterra, how does it respond to commands? It doesn't, the insectoid replied with obvious pride. It knows only hunger and the hunt. Zixtera, can your Frostripper distinguish between threats to you personally and general prey? The crystalline being's form dimmed slightly. It kills anything that moves within its territory. And you, Gorthanel, does your Shadowstalker show loyalty to you specifically, or would it hunt you just as readily as any other prey? The massive rock creature had no answer. Kira nodded and set Fenrir down on the platform. The cub immediately ran to the edge closest to her and sat, tail wagging, eyes fixed on her face with absolute devotion. This little one will grow to be 100 pounds of muscle, fang, and claw. His bite force will exceed 400 pounds per square inch. He could tear out the throat of any creature in this room without effort. She paused, letting that sink in. But watch what happens when I do this. Kira took 3 steps backward. Fenrir whimpered and started to follow, but she held up a hand. Stay. The cub sat immediately, though his entire body trembled with the effort of restraining himself from going to her. His eyes never left her face, and soft whines escaped his throat. He could disobey, Kira said quietly. He could run to me, jump on me, demand attention. But he doesn't, because I asked him not to. This is the power humanity discovered, not the strength to dominate predators, but the wisdom to earn their willing service. Suddenly, Zixthera's Frostripper broke free from its containment field. Whether through malice or simple predatory instinct, the creature lunged directly toward Kira, its acidic maw open and claws extended. What happened next would be discussed in xenobiology classes for decades to come. Fenrir, barely 2 months old, and weighing perhaps 15 pounds, launched himself between the massive predator and his human. But as he moved, something extraordinary occurred. The cub's eyes blazed with an inner light that seemed to contain the wisdom of ages, and a pulse of pure psychic energy erupted from his small form. The Frostripper, mid-lunge, was thrown backward, as if it had struck an invisible wall. It crashed into its containment field and lay stunned, its 6 eyes wide with what could only be described as fear. Around the room, every other predator began to cower, backing away from the small wolf cub that now stood protectively in front of Kira, fur bristling and a low growl rumbling from his tiny chest. Professor Zareth's energy form flickered rapidly as his sensors went wild. Impossible. I'm detecting genetic markers that shouldn't exist. This creature has been engineered at the molecular level. Kira knelt and gently picked up Fenrir, who immediately relaxed in her arms, the psychic energy dissipating as quickly as it had appeared. Project Fenrir, she said softly, 40 years in development. We didn't just domesticate wolves, we enhanced them. Telepathic bonds, genetic memory, extended lifespans, and protective instincts encoded at the cellular level. She looked around the room at the stunned faces of her classmates. Every predator you've shown today kills because it must. They are slaves to their nature, driven by hunger and territorial instincts they cannot control. But humans learned long ago that the greatest predators are those who choose when to hunt and when to protect. Fenrir nuzzled against her neck, and Kira smiled. We don't bring predators to control them. We bring family. And when you threaten our family, she gestured to the still cowering creatures around the room. Well, you've seen what happens. Professor Zareth's form had stabilized, but his voice carried a new note of respect. The human species continues to confound all expectations. You have taken evolution itself and bent it to your will, not through force, but through partnership. That's the human way, Kira replied. We looked at the most dangerous predators in our world and asked not, how do we defeat them, but how do we become part of their pack? The answer changed both our species forever. She scratched behind Fenrir's ears, and the cub's tail wagged contentedly. Around the room, the other students were beginning to reassess everything they thought they knew about predator-prey relationships, about domestication, and about the strange species from the small blue planet. As the class period ended and students began carefully securing their increasingly docile predators, Kira remained behind with Professor Zeroth. Fenrir had fallen asleep in her arms, looking for all the world like nothing more than an ordinary puppy. "There's something else, isn't there?" the professor asked. This demonstration was more than just an academic exercise. Kira nodded slowly. 3 months ago, scouts reported unusual predator behavior on 17 different worlds. Apex hunters abandoning territories, pack animals refusing to hunt, entire ecosystems disrupting without explanation. And you believe this is connected to your enhanced companions. The genetic markers aren't limited to Earth canines anymore, Kira admitted. Somehow, the changes are spreading. Every predator species humanity has encountered begins to exhibit signs of the same evolutionary life-enhanced intelligence, emotional bonding capabilities, cooperative instincts. Professor Zareth was quiet for a long moment. "You're saying that humanity isn't just changing yourselves and your partner species. You're changing the fundamental nature of predation throughout the galaxy. We don't know how far it will spread," Kira said, looking down at the sleeping cub. "But we've learned that when humans form bonds with predators, it doesn't just change the predators. It changes the definition of what it means to hunt, to protect, to survive." She stood to leave, cradling Fenrir carefully. Perhaps the real question isn't what makes a predator. Perhaps it's what makes a family. As she walked toward the exit, Professor Zareth called after her. "Student Kira." She turned back. "Next week's assignment is on symbiotic relationships in extreme environments. I suspect your species may have some unique insights to share." Kira smiled. "We always do, Professor, we always do." The chamber fell silent as she left, Fenrir still sleeping peacefully in her arms. Outside the viewport, Earth hung like a blue marble against the stars, a small world that had somehow managed to rewrite the rules of the universe, one friendship at a time. In the years that followed, as reports continued to pour in from across the galaxy of predators choosing cooperation over conflict, xenobiologists would point to this day as the moment they realized that humanity's greatest export wasn't technology or culture, or even their peculiar brand of stubborn optimism. It was love. And apparently, love was more contagious than anyone had imagined. Please subscribe to this channel and support us so that we can post new videos every day.